These are some of the oldest Pokemon designs, before the word Pokemon was even created. But what if they made it into Red and Blue? Let's dive in. The Pokemon craze took off in the late 90s, but where did it begin? Red and Blue was released in English in the US in 1998. The games were based on the later released Blue version from Japan that fixed some of the initial bugs of Pokemon Red and Green, which was Satoshi Tajiri's first Pokemon game published in 1996. At that time, the main way the early Japanese audiences could connect with these pocket monsters was through the artwork by Ken Sugimori. But some of the earliest sketches we see come from an early pitch by these two a few years earlier. That brings us to these two, Godzillante and Gorillaimo. I brought them forward in time to test out Pokemon Red. And Godzillante is up first. Many early Pokemon were inspired by kaiju. Godzillante is clearly named after Godzilla. I created this as a defensive, normal, and dragon type Pokemon that uses Substitute. But for starting moves, I gave it Scratch and Leer. And of course, it has a cursed Gen 1 back sprite. I needed to train up because I wanted to reach level 10 before Brock. I should have a good chance against Brock at this level because both Godzillante and Gorillaimo will have the same base stat total of 405, equal to Alakazam, Golduck, and Sandslash. For Godzillante, it has 100 HP, 70 attack, 105 defense, 60 speed, and 70 special. At level 10, it also learns Ember since it's shown breathing fire in the art. I thought this might be helpful for Brock since his special is very low on his two rock types, but Leer and Scratch seem to work just fine. The extra defense works well to make Brock a very safe fight. Gorillaimo has another unused type combo for Gen 1, Normal and Fighting. Its design inspiration is a bit more complex. It obviously takes after King Kong or Donkey Kong, but the little sideways hat is probably a reference to Nintendo, the early NES-like Earthbound character, and this may have been a bigger part of the concept because the developer for that series in the early days was Ape Inc. For Red version, Gorillaimo is a bulky attacker with 150 base HP, 95 attack, 65 defense, 45 speed, and 50 special. For this playthrough, it starts with Pound and Growl. It also learns Rock Throw at level 7 for the bugs, but that move is frankly terrible with 65% accuracy in Gen 1 and just turns out to be worse than Pound. I was aiming for the same level for Brock. Gorillaimo benefits more from its typing here since it learns Stab Low Kick just in time. With reliable damage and high HP, Brock is extremely easy. Meanwhile, Godzillante is making great progress with Scratch and Ember on Route 3. Here I catch Spearow as my flyer and name it Wormwood. All these H employees today are going to be named after YouTube members. Check out the live streams for a chance to get a free gifted membership. This mini kaiju is very lucky that there are no required rock type trainers in Mount Moon, since it cannot learn any water or ice type moves. It makes quick work of the super nerd to get some items in the southeast corner of the cave before encountering a Paris. I catch this to use Cut and Dig and name it Fruitful. With no other available TMs, I make my way to the exit, defeating the mandatory rocket and the super nerd blocking the fossils. Once in Cerulean, I can pick up the rare candy behind the house and start the battle against Blue. Godzillante now learns Bite and can put that big mouth to use against the enemy team. It chomps its way through all of Blue's Pokemon on the first try. Bite is actually fantastic at this point since it deals reliable damage and has high PP for Nugget Bridge. Godzillante can beat all of these trainers and the ones on Route 25 in one go without a single reset. I return to the Poke Center and heal before the gym. Misty does make me a little nervous without any super effective moves, but I was underestimating my little monster who takes out Starmie in 3 hits. This gets Godzillante to level 22 where it learns Substitute. Back to Gorillaimo, it also makes great time on Route 3. It does take a few hits, but this beast can handle it. Its speed is only a little lower than Godzillante, but you can already start to feel the difference. I catch a Pidgey for my flyer in this run and name it Rob. I beat the Super Nerd again to get the same items as before, but then I go down to the basement floor to pick up Mega Punch. This 80 power move will hit hard, but is less reliable than Pound. Unlike Godzillante, the Gorilla has good answers for rock types, so I beat this Hiker to get some extra experience. On the way out of Mount Moon, I catch a Paris and name it Nixa. Gorillaimo Mega Punches its way through the last 2 battles and gets to Cerulean. It has now learned Dizzy Punch, which I did update to include a chance to inflict confusion for this run. This more consistent punching move makes quick work of Blue's team. Just like the kaiju, Gorillaimo clears all of the trainers in one pass, making it to Misty's gym. When I defeat the mandatory junior trainer in front of the gym leader, Gorillaimo learns a powerful move Thrash. Dizzy Punch one-shots the Staryu, and Thrash takes Starmie down in 2 hits. Both of them are crushing the early game as expected from single-stage Pokemon. While they never made it into the game, these two existed in a document 6 years prior to the release of Red and Green. Their names were written down before the title Pokemon was even created. Instead, the pitch was for a game called Capsule Monsters, Capumon. This game used early concepts from Pokemon such as catching using a ball and battling monsters. The game mechanics were definitely different. The stats listed in Godzillante and Gorillaimo's sketch use HP and TP. This TP perhaps means trainer points and was replaced with power points. Catching a capsule monster could have even involved a charisma check to train and convince the creature to work with you as a team. But so far, both of these Capumon have proved to be great teammates. After picking up a few important items aboard the SS Anne, I face Blue with Godzillante. I have now learned Body Slam, which nearly sweeps his whole team. Having a same type bonus for Body Slam makes this a very powerful move. Not only is Blue easy because of it, but Surge is too. He barely deals any damage to Godzillante before being slammed out of existence. This move also KOs all of the Rapping Junior Trainer's grass types in a single hit, meaning she cannot set up Paralysis and Wrap just to be a nuisance. I make my way through the cave, but I am worried about the next major trainer. The self-destructing hiker is a problem for a lot of normal types. I do have Substitute and good defense, so I could likely survive his explosive tactics. Just to be sure, I use one rare candy to bring Godzillante up to level 30, where it learns Dragon Breath. This move works just like it does in future generations, 60 base power and a chance to paralyze. Both of these playthroughs today will feature a signature move for their respective type. Because dragon moves always inflict special damage, this is a much better option against rock types than anything I've learned so far. With that and Substitute, I have no fear of being blown up. Now in the mid game, I stop at the Rocket Hideout for a couple of items before heading to the department store to buy the necessary repels and the Pokédoll from the Marowak skip. There aren't any other TMs I want here, so I buy some vitamins and some fresh water for the guard before leaving. After retrieving Fly outside the city, I can use it to go back to Lavender to battle Blue in Pokemon Tower. Body Slam takes out Pidgeotto, Execute survives though and puts me to sleep. Godzillante wakes up, knocks out the eggs, and survives the hit of Dragon Rage. After Gyarados faints, Kadabra cannot survive a Body Slam either, and then Charmeleon is not enough to stop me. While normal moves have been great up until now, I am glad that Godzillante has Dragon Breath when fighting the Channelers. I rescue Mr. Fuji, wake up the Snorlax, and head toward Fuchsia City along the bike route. When Gorillaimo gets to the SS Anne, it has already learned Dig. I pick up Body Slam and decide to learn it in the place of Dizzy Punch. This move is more useful for longer battles, but the ability to skip frames with Thrash and deal massive damage still cuts some time. When I get to the rival, I can take down the first two members of Blue's team with this new move and then thrash the others. Once I finish the SS Anne, Dig is extra powerful against Surge, but Body Slam is enough for Voltorb and Pikachu. Raichu takes 2 hits, but it can't do much to Gorillaimo. The hat-wearing ape then thrashes its way through the Rapping Junior Trainer and then all the teams on Route 9. In Rock Tunnel, I have to fight a couple of Slowpokes that deal super effective damage with their confusion. This does remind me that Sabrina is going to be extra difficult for this fighting type. I don't need to use any candies before the self-destructing hiker since Dig is perfect for this battle. After tunneling through that fight, Gorillaimo makes it to the mid-game. I follow the same route here again and go to the Rocket Hideout. When I defeat the Rocket guarding the entrance, I get the chance to learn Force Palm. This fighting move is similar to Dragon Breath in power and effect. It is learned by Hariyama, which inspired me to use it here. I pick up the same items in the hideout and buy a Pokédoll along with some vitamins in the department store. However, before I leave, I make sure to trade the little girl on the top floor a soda pop for the TM for Rock Slide. I fly back to Pokemon Tower where the rival is waiting for me. Gorillaimo knocks out Pidgeotto, but doesn't quite have the damage it needs for Execute or Gyarados. I get lucky and dodge the Hypnosis, making this fight fairly painless. I think Gorillaimo's biggest threats though are still ahead of it. Dig is now my only option against the ghosts, but it's a perfect solution actually. By grabbing the Pokeflute, I fly back to Celadon to take on Erica. At this point, I realize I forgot to fight her with Godzillante. I'm gonna have to go back for that. It may have been a bit early for Gorillaimo to try this gym though. I can't one-shot any of her grass types. I get very lucky and only briefly fall asleep before waking up in time to land one more Thrash and win the battle. After that, I can finally catch up to Godzillante by heading to Route 17. The early documents, like the sketches of these two Capumon, foreshadow the Pokemon games. Godzillante and Gorillaimo were created to show the basic gameplay mechanics, but they were not intended to be Pokemon themselves. They served more as placeholders, but some of the same design sensibility carried over to the more detailed beta designs to come after. I'm sure you know that Rhydon was the first official Pokemon ever created, but there are many other early designs that ended up being Pokemon you may recognize. Kangaskhan, Slowbro, and Lickitung, along with many others, were shown in the early drafts. What started as kaiju knockoffs slowly turned into the unique world of Pokemon. Even the trainer sprites and the Rhyhorn menu icon appeared here in this document. While the battles themselves have changed a lot over the years, it's incredible to see these threads that exist from the beginning. I was moving quickly with Godzillante and picked up Surf after completing the Safari Zone. I then realized that I totally missed Erica. I had to fly back to Celadon and take on the Grass Gym Leader. Ember is my only super effective move, but it's pretty weak, so I have to use Body Slam. This battle plays out very similarly to Gorillaimo's playthrough, where Godzillante snoozes for a few turns and then KOs the Vileplume. From there, I can continue on to Koga's gym. For his battle, Godzillante is wishing it had Dig, but Substitute prevents stat drops and some of the status effects. And I did teach Rest at this point, so I can hide behind the doll and heal up if needed. With that guaranteed safety from Toxic and Self-Destruct, my little kaiju trudges its way through the poisonous team. After earning that badge, Sylph is up next. I am very confident in Godsillante's durability and resiliency in battle, so I only pick up some vitamins and the card key before warping to face Blue. In this battle, I do get hit by Execute's poison powder, so I decide to set up and heal. Gyarados breaks my substitute, which leaves me vulnerable against Alakazam, and with Body Slam disabled and Leech Seed sapping my health, I get worried. But once I can use my go-to move again, I can crush the Psychic type and get to Charizard. But his Slash is too much to take and I get my first reset. On the second attempt, I get super lucky. I get to Charizard at 1 HP, but it uses Leer instead of attacking. That allows me to heal and defeat the Pseudo-Dragon. I can now pick up my Surfing Mon Lapras and name it Stang. I don't have great moves for Giovanni, but neither does he, so I just use Body Slam and Dragon Breath my way to victory. I almost forgot the Strength HM, so I quickly backtrack to Fuchsia and grab that and the candy from the Warden's house. Then, after surfing down to Cinnabar, I can battle the Fire-type gym leader Blaine. Godzillante is missing Dig or Earthquake, but frankly Blaine is terrible in Red and Blue. I take no damage at all up until his Arcanine, and then he spams Super Potions and uses Roar, giving me an easy win. His badge is very important because it gives me the special badge boost, which is really useful when I teleport to Sabrina. Godzillante ends up confused multiple times in this fight, first against the barrier using Mr. Mime, and then again at Alakazam. I take a narrow loss because of all of the missed turns stacking up. Without that bad luck, I can force my way through her frail team. With no Psychic type weakness, this fight is not too bad. Once I have that victory, the only gym left is Viridian. Giovanni's team in Red and Blue is not nearly as good as it is in Yellow. Dragon Breath does do good special damage for Rhydon. Dugtrio has low defense and gets paralyzed by Body Slam. The Nidos don't have any Earthquake or super effective moves to use, and since I outspeed Rhydon, it can't hit Fissure or Horn Drill, which it has both. Beating Giovanni then earns Godzillante the final badge. Blue on Route 22 is the last battle before Indigo Plateau. His Pidgeot loves agility and does no damage. Rhydon goes down to Dragon Breath, Execute lands a pathetic Solar Beam, while Gyarados does decent damage. His Alakazam hits several hits with Psychic, which requires me to heal and try to stall, but his crits do massive damage. Just like in Sylph, Charizard has the opportunity to win, but it goes for Leer instead. Godzillante heals and beats the Fire Lizard again, which means there's only 5 battles left, but they are the hardest in the game. Gorillaimo has a long way to catch up to that point. I have already beaten Erica, so when I get to Fuchsia, I can go directly to Koga instead. And for this battle, Gorillaimo has a huge advantage with Dig. This move is both super effective and helps avoid self-destruct. Koga's Muck stalls for a while with Minimize, but once I can get past that, his coughings and wheezing can't take Gorillaimo down. I make it to Sylph more efficiently this time. Because of my decent coverage with normal, ground, and fighting types, I can easily beat the Rockets guarding key items like the card key and make my way to Blue. A crit makes Pidgeot much easier, but its flying type could be a problem in the future. I get lucky with Execute using Reflect, which only raises its own defense in Gen 1, not the team's. I tank a Dragon Rage and start thrashing on Alakazam. Gorillaimo barely survives the confusion, but Charizard only uses Leer again, and I finish the battle. As a fighting type, I underestimated Gorillaimo. The normal type seems to be carrying it through the run. I pick up the last H-employee of the video with Lapras and name it Casper. Dig and Force Palm give Gorillaimo great coverage for Giovanni's fight, so it breezes through his 4 Pokemon. Now it's off to Cinnabar. And is Blaine going to be any better here? Well, kind of. Dig KOs both Growlithe and Ponyta. Rapidash hits 1 Stomp before going down, so that's an improvement. Arcanine goes for Roar first turn. Dig brings it down to just a sliver of health. Then Arcanine hits a takedown and knocks itself out. Well done, Blaine. Well done. And I really needed that badge because next up is Sabrina, my worst nightmare for this run. With a base 45 speed, Gorillaimo is far too slow to move first. It takes a beating and then faints for the first time this run. With how brutal that loss was, I decided to use 3 rare candies to have a better shot at victory. I still don't outspeed the Kadabra, so I take 1 hit there, but now I can KO both the Mr. Mime and the Venomoth before they can strike back. I just need luck for Alakazam. My Thrash lands and it goes down. That was a fantastic performance against the scariest gym leader today. Last up is Giovanni, but I'm not worried a bit for him. This Rocket leader is a pushover now that Gorillaimo knows Earthquake. Granted, Earthquake and Dig have the same base power, but Earthquake is just faster. He barely deals any damage before his Rhydon faints. I run to Route 22 to take on Blue. I have taught Rock Slide in place of Thrash now for more coverage, and it is immediately useful against Pidgeot. Earthquake also works well for Rhyhorn. But Gorillaimo doesn't learn anything super effective against Execute. Body Slam will have to do. Rock Slide is great for Gyarados though, and I get lucky and paralyze the Alakazam before it finishes me off, but Charizard actually chooses Rage instead of Leer, so I do have a reset. At this point, I'm frustrated. Blue hasn't been an issue until now. I decide to fly to Fuchsia to beat 1 trainer on Route 15 so I can level up. Then I can use 2 rare candies to get to level 50. Gorillaimo feints to Psychic again on the next try. Finally, the stars align and I make it to Alakazam without taking any damage. I can tank a hit and then knock it out before ending the fight with Rock Slide. And I'm finally off to face the Elite Four, but a bit less confident now than before. Most of us know this journey through Kanto through these games. However, the same pitch document that revealed Godzillante and Gorillaimo had other sketches of places in the Pokemon world. This seemed to be a more slice-of-life perspective alongside capsule monsters. One image is the scene of a quiet town with a large Pokemon transporting packages, kind of like Rhyhorn, I guess? Another takes a darker spin with a shopkeeper growing creatures in vials and keeping them in cages. Instead of medical Pokemon centers, the capsule monster world had hotels, much like the one that still exists in Celadon City. Looking at these images, I start to understand Tajiri's childhood fascination with these creatures. I do wish we had more of this world to explore. The original manga volumes may be the closest thing we have today. Our 2 Capumon just have one challenge left, the Indigo League. Because Godzillante is weak to Lorelei's ice types, I use all my rare candies now. I do get the option to learn its last level up move, Hyper Beam. While this is especially powerful for normal types, the risk of a miss or losing a turn to recharge seem too risky. At level 58, I attempt the Elite Four for the first time, and it does not go well. Godzillante goes down to her second Pokemon. While I can 2-shot her Dugong, both it and Cloyster have Aurora Beam, which is causing major issues. When I make it to Slowbro, I do have the chance to heal up and set up Substitute. Jinx is then weak to physical moves, but Lapras is unbeatable. Blizzard has a 90% accuracy in Gen 1, so it can easily break my Substitute and knock me out. To solve this, I thought I might need Mimic to get Amnesia to survive Blizzard. So I go buy a Pokédoll in Celadon and give it to the Copycat Girl to get this TM. But now I have a big problem. Which move should I give up? I need Rest and Substitute to survive the battle. Dragon Breath is necessary for Cloyster because its base defense is the highest in the game. I tried replacing Body Slam, but then Dugong is just a much bigger issue. I even tried Fire Blast instead of Dragon Breath for Cloyster, and that doesn't work either. Without Mimic, there is no way to win without some serious luck. After 10 losses, I find the solution. I need to give up Substitute. That way I still have Body Slam for Dugong and Dragon Breath for Cloyster. When I reach Slowbro, I steal and set up with Amnesia. With the badge boosts, I now outspeed Jinx, and I can take it out in one hit. The boosted special lets me deal massive damage to Lapras and power through to the end of the battle. By comparison, Gorillaimo has a much easier road ahead for Lorelei. I also use my rare candies now, getting up to the same level as Godzillante before starting with Lorelei. But Stab Force Palm deals super effective damage to her ice types. I Body Slam Slowbro out of the way and KO Jinx with Rock Slide. Lapras hits a Hydro Pump, but Gorillaimo tanks the hit and wins the fight. The combination of Earthquake and Body Slam make Bruno a joke, as usual. Agatha will outspeed me with most of her team, but I'm feeling good with the excellent coverage of Earthquake and Rock Slide. I get confused early, but the ground move can bring down every member of her team. Then Rock Slide is also excellent for Lance. It deals super effective damage to both Gyarados and Aerodactyl. At the end of the fight, his Dragonite gets stuck using Barrier and Agility since they're both Psychic type, and the AI can't see that they're not damaging, so I get lots of free hits in to bring it down. The champion is the only one standing in the way of a sub 1 hour finish for Gorillaimo. I forgot to teach Rest on the first attempt, and Sky Attack does massive damage. This sets up Alakazam to take the win. The second try, I forgot Rest again, but this time I survived the Psychic on just 9 HP. I figured it's over and I almost reset, but I tried the Earthquake on Rhydon and it just misses a Horn Drill? I do have to use 3 Body Slams to take down Executor, but it just misses Hypnosis twice? Wait, is this possible? Rock Slide does half to Gyarados, and it misses a Hyper Beam. Charizard could still beat me though, but true to form it misses Fire Blast. And that means Gorillaimo clocks in at 55 minutes and 5 seconds and a game time of 3 hours and 29 minutes. Godzillante is far behind after Lorelei, but Dragon Breath is enough to beat the Hiker. Agatha is always a threat with her status moves. Since I have Mimic, I can steal Confuse Ray and use Rest to make this fight a bit more consistent. This defensive dino methodically works its way through her team to get a sure win. Lance doesn't pose much of a threat though, since I have his biggest weakness, another dragon. I even steal Hyper Beam from Gyarados for good measure. With this high power move, I can take down his goofy orange dragon at the end. And after this much messier Indigo League than its rival, Godzillante has made it to the champion. In this case, I don't have a weakness to Alakazam. That means I can mimic its recover and have an even better healing option for the rest of the battle. I have to use it several times and then use Body Slam to slowly clear the team. And once Charizard is defeated, Godzillante clocks in with 1 hour, 13 minutes, and 26 seconds, and a game time of 3 hours and 57 minutes. Gorillaimo may have won this one, but I have really grown fond of both of these two capsule monsters. Thank you everybody for watching. Make sure to subscribe and like the video if you haven't already. There will be more of these to come, but for now, have a wonderful day.